Welcome back to the Docker command line options section of the Getting Started with Docker course. In this lesson, we're talking all about controlling our running containers. So let's start by getting some containers running, because right now we have Docker ps-a gives us no running containers. So let's create a couple of containers to get us going. So Docker run, and let's do a -P to map all the ports to random numbers. We haven't used that yet, but remember that's what it does. And then let's not worry about much of anything else except, you know what, let's not even give it a name. And let's do a detached mode. And we'll do a not --rm. We don't want to remove it when it stops. We don't care the host name. We'll just give it the image new -image. I believe we have a 1.0.0. Let's run this. Let's just do a Docker ps-a. We now have one running image, and it's named Adoring Ramanujan. I'm not sure, but that's what it's named. Let's do it again, and this time with the 1.0.1 version. And let's do it again with the, I believe we have a hello world image. We do. So now if we do let's do a clear screen first. Docker ps-a, we now have these three images, and they're based off of three different containers based off of three different images. And interestingly enough, we use that same Ramanujan tag, but one is wizardly and one is adoring. And we have the admiring Liskov. So you just put two words together with an underscore between, and that's how it names them if we don't name them. Also note the port numbers that have been mapped. So 32.773 versus 32.771 versus 32.769 all map over to port 80 on the respective containers. So if we went to any of those ports, we could get to the site that's running on that particular container. Now that we have our running examples, let's talk through the different options for controlling these containers. First of all, let's run the stop command. Docker stop, and let's stop this one right up here, the 9.8D version. So, I'm sorry, 6.8D. 6.8D. And it says, yes, Docker has done that. So let's clear the screen and do a Docker ps-a. And now you'll notice that the 6.8D is currently stopped. You can see that because it says exited with a status code of 0 7 seconds ago. But the other two have been up for 2 minutes. So we have one stopped and we have two running containers. Now what we can do is we can do a Docker start and start that container again. So Docker start 6.8D. And now if we clear the screen and do our Docker ps-a, we see that this has been up for 4 seconds, but the rest have been up for 2 and 3 minutes respectively. So we got the start and the stop commands to start and stop our containers. But we also have restart. Say you have a problem on the machine. You know, what's the first diagnostic fix for any kind of computer problem you have? Well, it's restart. So Docker restart. Let's restart a different one. Let's restart the second one, the admiring Liskov. So 042. And it lists that yes, it has restarted. If we clear the screen and do Docker ps-a, we now see that hello world image has been up for 50 seconds, but this admiring Liskov container has only been up for 5, whereas the adoring, I'm not going to pronounce that again, sorry, has been up for 3 minutes. So that allows us to do that, basically a reboot and restart a container. And you know, if there's a If it's something weird going on, that's a really quick, just restart it. Okay? But what if we want to stop the container and it's having a problem where, you know how you stop Windows, you shut it down, and it pops up this dialog that says, hey, I still got 15 copies of Notepad open that have not yet been saved. Maybe it's just me. But it won't shut down Windows until you take care of that or say end the task anyway. So maybe it hangs up when you go to stop. Well, if you have a container do that, what do? Well, there is a docker kill command. Now, when in doubt, use the docker stop command. Because docker stop is the nice, friendly, Windows shutdown command that makes sure that things shut down properly first before it totally stops. However, when you really need to just pull that power plug and shut the thing down the hard way, docker kill will do that. It still sends a command to do the killing, but what it does, or the shutdown, but what it does is it does it in a much more forceful manner, which says basically, I don't care what you have unsaved. I don't care if you're hung up trying to do something. You're stopping. End of story. So docker kill, much, much scarier. But let's do a docker kill. Docker kill 042. It's done. Now, of course, I didn't simulate it being broken in any way, but in case, assuming it was, docker kill took care of it. And now if I do a docker ps-a, you'll see that it exited with a code, not code 0, code 137 15 seconds ago. So what it said is, you know what, we're going to shut this down. We're not going to do it the nice way. That's why you didn't get code 0. Code 0 says everything shut down properly. Code 137, not the proper way, but it's shut down. Okay, so now we have our container stopped. We can still restart it if we want to. Or maybe what we want to do is we want to do the docker kill command, but we just want to kill everything. This is really for a development machine only. So if you're on a development machine and you say, you know what, just wipe everything out, I'm going to start over. I'm going to do a docker kill and then do my $ and parens and say docker ps -q, and I don't have to do -a, and the reason why is because I'm not trying to kill the stopped containers, which is what .-a lists is, the stopped and started containers. So therefore, I'm just killing the running containers. You do that, and it's going to list the 2 that were still running, and now the docker ps-a gives me 3 that were created 7 minutes ago, but they have all been exited with a 137 command. Okay, so I've killed all 3 now. Now there's a couple more commands for controlling containers we've already covered, but I want to cover them anyways. For that, we need to at least start at least one of our containers. So docker start, let's do 68D. So now I have 68D running, so we can do a docker exec -it. And we want to do a docker exec on 68D. And we want to do the bash command, or run the bash shell. And notice I'm now in the bash, and I can say ls for the directory. I can do a cd to the / and do an ls again. And now I have my root. So I can do cd root and ls, and it has nothing in it because I didn't map over that /docker folder. But notice I'm now in bash on my running container. And I can exit out and clear this out. So that's one command. Don't forget the exec -it for interactive terminal, and then passing that bash after the container ID. So that's the full command right there. We've already done it a couple times. But the next one is I have this docker ps-a, this list of 3 containers. And let's just make it even easier, -a-q. There's my 3 containers right there, just their IDs. So I have this list of container IDs that I want to get rid of. I want to get rid of these containers. So what do? Well, I can do a docker rm for remove 68d. That removes the container. And it says, nope, you can't do that because 68d is currently running. Well, I could stop that first, or I could do a-f for force, and now docker 68d has been removed. And I forced it. So it stopped it first, and then it removed it. Now, which type of stop it do? To do a kill or do a stop? I believe it does a kill, but I'm not positive. And it doesn't really matter because you're removing the image. Therefore, unless it's trying to save information to your log files on a shared volume, it won't really matter. But with that being said, that's the slow way, doing it one at a time. Or I could do docker rm and then do my $ docker ps-a-q. And that's going to remove all of my images. That's the 2 images that are left. And if I do a docker ps-a, I now have no containers running or otherwise. So those are the commands you should know for controlling containers. Next up, we're going to look at controlling, inspecting, and getting rid of volumes in our Docker. Okay, so stick around for that.